Succession is just brilliant. Especially after a certain hit fantasy show, networks keep putting all the money they can on screen with an emphasis on visual spectacle, like they are begging people to see that they are to be taken as seriously as films. Look, we're like the cinema, but at home. Succession soars above this, having you hang on to every word, which when done right can be just as gripping as a Battle of the Bastards set piece. Because that's what it all falls down to, characters and story. So, before it all comes to an end, let's discuss where it all started, and how Succession's pilot episode expertly sets the stage for amazing television.
It's a portfolio of online brands and digital video content, and it's part of an upstream investment strategy to save us, if you'll just let me.
Do you want to hit me? Is that it? Huh? Go on. Give it your best shot.
Dad, come on. What are you doing?
Are you gonna fucking cry? Kendall, are you fucking crying?
We start off in dark confusion, not sure what's going on, establishing the condition of Logan Roy, planting in the viewer's head that maybe the passing of the CEO torch should be rather imminent. For what becomes evidently such a cold character, I think this is an incredibly effective way to humanize him, showing a man at his most vulnerable. Then, in 30 seconds, we have a scene which perfectly encapsulates the mission statement of the show and everything it's about. These wealthy people who see themselves as above others just from their surname, a number that displays in their bank account, living in a bubble they've built for themselves of people who solely reinstate this belief. And so if anyone were to look in from outside it...
Brownstones, water towers, tree skyscrapers, fight fighters and Wall Street traders.
You'd see they're bumbling fools. Yet, they all spend more money in a week than most would in a lifetime, and have so much power they rarely know what to do with it. This whole opening is such an accurate representation of what Succession is, showing the ugly side of people like this, and what they're like behind closed doors. Cut to the opening titles. God damn, this music. Let's just see who composed. Yep, that makes sense. Nicholas Britell just does not miss. He's on a list of composers that I'll check a project out, knowing they've scored it. He did not have to go as hard as he did. Whenever the piano gets going throughout an episode, you just know it's about to hit the fan. Something Succession does superbly is showing, not telling. With Logan Roy often being so elusive, it creates such a domineering presence through his actions, whilst saying or doing very little. Just as with Kendall, this opening scene doesn't need anyone else to point out how out of touch he is, because he does it himself with how he talks.
I think Walter is the shiz.
We're the shiz?
It's kind of amazing how well this one episode sets up so many characters. I often see online discussions about movies with large ensembles where people say, well, they haven't had their own films to set up each character, so of course it's going to be rushed. And I know this episode isn't telling a full story, only setting up a larger one, but this is how it's done. Having unique characters being exactly that, not just with different stats of intelligence or strength, but their own people, that while they share a common competing goal, they don't really have much overlap from there. Greg being this initially lovable, bumbling idiot and feeling so out of place amongst these people keeps the audience grounded, when it could easily become overwhelming with too many out-of-touch millionaires like this. For this episode, he's our viewpoint, our eyes and ears. Then we meet Roman, a character you can't help but pay attention to. With witty comebacks and his general demeanour, he breaks through the serious facade Kendall has built, which makes him instantly likeable. Well, as likeable as a Roy can be. It initially made me think that he doesn't subscribe to the bullshit and sees through all the pompousness, almost being built from the ground up to be a fan favourite comic relief character, almost as if he will be the one to consistently challenge the other characters when they get lost in it all. At their core, Logan Roy's kids are just that, kids. Take this scene as a clear articulation of that.
Cup his balls.
He's right behind me, isn't he?
Yeah.
Ripped straight out of a teenage comedy, with Kendall's whole self melting, seeing Logan as a boss or military sergeant instead of a father. It's this blindness that has him sign everything away. From seeing scenes like this, just replace them with toddlers and you're already there. Logan sets everything in motion to undermine Kendall's rise to CEO, showing he isn't going down without a fight.
Lunch!
When he says it's time for the game, I was expecting a nice game of Uno or maybe Hungry Hungry Hippos, but the fact that they all get flown in helicopters just to play a game keeps reinstating the class divide. They hemorrhage money because it's their everything, yet from having an abundance of it, it becomes meaningless. It's so much fun seeing the scheming in the different subsets of the family that's already so splintered, showing that everyone is only out for themselves in a way to get on top and promises so much future backstabbing. Tom and Greg meeting poses a lot of questions, and I can't explain it, but whenever I think of the pair, I just think of the poster to the Matt Damon film The Adjustment Bureau, with those two on it. From the get-go, you see this will be a match made in heaven that will be brilliant to explore.
Because I will give you $1 million if you hit a home run.
This is the exact moment I knew this show was something special. Up until now, it was a promising new series, but here is when it's apparent they're using this narrative to actually say something. They just throw around this life-changing amount of money like it's nothing, because to them, that's exactly what it is. The same as a $5 falling out of your wallet. Annoying, but nothing to lose sleep over. It also says so much about Roman. He's not self-aware. He's arguably further down that out-of-touch rabbit hole than anyone.
So take this back to your life. It's $250,000. Enjoy.
He doesn't put up the same serious walls as Kendall, not because he sees through it, but from not having the emotional maturity to take anything seriously. From a lifetime of witty, sarcastic comebacks, it's all he knows. It highlights what makes this show's humour so naturalistic and distinct from a lot of contemporary comedies. Instead of a laugh track holding up a neon sign saying to laugh now, here, while yes they have funny characters saying great one-liners, most of the time they let the characters just being themselves be the punchline. The fact that they don't see anything wrong with what they say or do. You just can't help but laugh at how removed they are from the everyday man. There's currently a lot of fiction criticising the wealthy. It's almost the zeitgeist at the moment. And some of these films are even made by those with direct involvement in Succession. I think it's a testament to the show that it stands above a lot of the other rich criticising media. There is a point to be made that as it's episodic, naturally you get more time with the characters, and to some extent, yes. Yet I feel that to be overly simplistic. It's because a lot of the films focus on the plot. Of course, they all have to tell a story. What's the synopsis of your 2-hour narrative? What's the beginning, middle and end? While Succession has an interesting plot with twists and turns, it knows how strong its characters are, so focuses in on them. They are the ones to make fools of themselves. Their actions tell you everything you need to know, and so the plot of each episode does a great job of framing these people in certain situations, and gives the audience the forward momentum they need to feel like the story is headed somewhere. Almost like they set the parameters up in the playpen for the characters to let loose like it's reality TV. Leading me to the visual style. While to most it will feel reminiscent of The Office, it can sometimes feel like someone's fallen asleep with their hands still around the lens. The zooms are very prominent in the first episode, and I'm glad it tones down ever so slightly going forward. But in setting a style for other directors to take on, I think Adam McKay's work here is very effective. Keeping conversations claustrophobic and tense. Having you solely squared in and focused on these incredible performances. Kendall rushes off to close the deal, whilst stabbing his dad in the back as he goes.
Just say source close to the family.
And Logan gets rushed off to hospital. This moment says two things. With Kendall already kind of in place to take over as CEO, it feels like how long can they pull this out for before they finally give it to him? And so it's interesting going back and seeing how far everything has come from this point, as it's almost a promise from the writers saying, don't worry, we have a lot more up our sleeve. It has already such a strong internal conflict within the family that then the threat from Lawrence now feels like it's established an external one too.
You just invited me into the chicken coop, and without Daddy around to protect you, I'm gonna eat you all.
Although not much comes of this threat, it kind of makes it inadvertently hilarious, because the Roys don't need anyone else to come in and show them up, or to stick a wedge between them, as they just do that themselves. Succession has thrived on good word of mouth. Both online and in person, you can't help but want to talk about it. It's certainly what got me to start watching, and it's nice to see something knowing that it's not only great intelligent TV, but it's something that's likely to be talked about in the same breath as Breaking Bad and The Sopranos. Wholly original, decade-defining TV. That might be a bit premature of me to say, but I think it's earned it. It cuts from the hospital to the family from the game earlier, who signed an NDA to not tell the press what happened, showing they received the watch Tom bought Logan as a gift to help silence them. The Roys don't value a lot of things. They use whatever's needed to get what they want, and don't know how to process it if that doesn't happen. More than anything, Succession respects your time. There is so much content out there, fighting for your attention with the sole purpose of taking up time, made through algorithms and AIs, churning things out, often without merit or reason. There is so much filler out there. It's nice for intelligent writing to fully demand to up itself scene after scene, making sure to not have a wasted moment. It's such a lean, tight script, if you took any line, let alone scene out, it'd be to its detriment. This carries through the whole show. Everything is so intentionally placed to tell you everything about the characters by making the audience work for their meal, not giving them everything spelt out on a platter, but letting them work it out for themselves. Throughout this episode, we meet a lot of Roys, with a Wamsgans in there too, and the opportunity for where this story can go, the internal conflict within the family and the external pressures to keep it interesting. Who needs a million horses when you have dialogue this sharp?
3 years ago, you were still in the nut house.
Rehab. Dad, it's called rehab.
It's by no means a cheap show, and it has its own version of spectacle. Succession's pilot works on so many levels, introducing a huge cast of characters, a distinct visual style, the humour,
I'm only razzing you, cuz.
and leaving it open-ended where you can't help but want to see more. God damn, what a show. Now that it's coming to an end, if you're going to have a Succession-shaped hole in your chest, I cannot recommend the thick of it enough. It's a similar style of humour whilst taking things up a notch. If you think any of the Roys have some inventive phrases, wait until you meet Malcolm Tucker.
It's a fucking lockdown right now.
Come off it. We're not in a prison drama, are we?
We are in a prison drama. This is the fucking Shawshank Redemption, right? But with more tunneling through shit and no fucking redemption.
Right, I'll see you next time with some special Pride Month stuff. Thank you for watching. I'm not up to date with where everyone else is, but I'm having so much fun with Succession, I needed to talk about it. How the hell did they get me to care about stocks?